Assalamualaikum to the respected lecturer Dr. Hamdan and friends. So today our topic is about the executive in United States of America. Introduce to you all my team members. The presentation will begin with the introduction. It cannot be denied that the second most powerful organ of government is the executive. This is because it is an organ that implements laws approved by the legislature and government policies. Besides, there are several executives we can define, that is, in a broad and narrow form. In a broad, all officers are political power holder and permanent civil servants who carry out the implementation of law and policies and run the country's administration. It is a narrow form. It means only the chief executive, that is, the minister who will lead government department, enact policies and supervise the implementation of law and government policies. The executive branch in USA is headed by the president, who must be nurture-born and at least 35 years old. In the meantime, presidential power has expanded to the extent that the president can enact law, formulate foreign policy, conduct personal diplomacy, and lead the president's political party. In addition, members of President Cabinet consist of Attorney General, the Secretaries of State, Treasury, Defense, Homeland Security, Agriculture, Commerce, and let's move on to the next presenter.
Function executive in the USA have three, which are military function, judicial function, and legislative function. First of all, I explain about military function. Military policy is primarily carried out by the Department of Defense and the Department of Homeland Security, both federal executive departments, with the President of the United States acting as Commander-in-Chief of the Army Force. The President may exercise a variety of the power to manage the national security and economy with the approval and oversight of Congress. Next, the Chief Executive also chooses the General and Commander of the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard. All of the branches except the Coast Guard are run by the U.S. Department of Defense, which report to the U.S. Secretary of Defense. The head of the American Army Force is the President of the United States. Second function in USA is judicial function. In the United States, judicial tasks are carried out by the states and federal judiciaries. The judiciary is a charge of upholding the law, determining how it should be applied, and setting legal disputes. Conflict between individual, organized, and government are settled by the American legal system. The federal judiciary also functions separately for the executive and legislative department, though is frequently collaboration with both as mandated by the Constitution. The federal law was passed by Congress and ratified by the President, but to carry out a court order, just rely on the executive department of the government. Lastly, legislative function. The national legislature of the United States, the U.S. Congress, play a legislative function in formulating public policy and making legislation. The President has several options when he receives a bill from Congress. The first step may either sign the proposal into law or permit it to become legislative. If it is not signed within 10 days after submission, the President may veto legislation and send it back to Congress with a veto or pocket veto under Article 1, Section 7, Constitutional Power of the President. There are two branches of Congress, which are the Senate and the House of Representatives. Constitution specifies that the House of Representatives and the Senate are the only site which more measures may be introduced. If the bill is approved by both houses, it will be delivered to the President in the Capitol building. To become an acta, it must be signed by the President. Even if the President vetoes a bill, Congress can still adopt it if it wins a 2-3 majority in both houses, becoming a law.
We will move on to the executive power
In the United States, executive power is vested in the President of the United States. The President is both the head of the states and the head of government. The authority responsibility of the President are outlined in the United States Constitution. First, election and term. The President is elected by citizens of the United States through an electoral process. Number 2. Power and responsibilities. The President has numerous power and responsibilities, including Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces, appointing federal officials, including cabinet members, ambassadors, and federal judges, with the advice and consent of the Senate, enforcing and executive federal law. Number 3. Executive orders. The President has the authority to issue executive order, which are directives that carry the force of law. Number 4. Cabinet. The President is assisted by a cabinet which consists of head of various executive departments, such as the Department of State, Department of Defense, and Department of Treasury. Number 5. Check and balance. Although the President holds significant executive power, the U.S. Constitution established a system of check and balance to prevent the abuse of power.
The last point is
The example of executive power in United States. Firstly, the executive power in the US is the President. The President is elected to a 4-year term by electors from every state and the district of Electoral College, which comprise 5 to 8 representatives and senators of that currently make up Congress. The citizens of each state vote for state of elector who then vote for the President on the prescribed day. To become President, a person must be natural born citizen of the United States and also as a person under the age of 35. Example of the President in the US in 2023 was Joe Biden. He is party of the Democratic. An example of the executive power in the US is the President having nomination. The President is for the head position of government office. Next, the President also has war power, such as Congress holds the power to declare war. As a result, the President cannot declare war without their approval. However, as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President have sent troops to battle without an official war declaration, which happened in Vietnam and Korea. Secondly, the Cabinet is the next example of executive power in the United States. The Cabinet is an advisory body made up of the head of the 50 executive department. Appointed by the President and confirmed by the Senate, the members of the Cabinet are often the President's closer confidant. Thirdly, the United States Secretary of State is the Foreign Minister for the United States federal government, while the Secretary of the State is most administrative official responsible for certain government functions, including overseeing election. And lastly, the U.S. Secretary is Anthony Blinken. The U.S. Secretary of State is a member of the United States Cabinet and fourth in line to the office President of the United States.
In conclusion, here we want to conclude that the United States and Malaysia have something in common, which is that they are the same government system, which is democracy. Like Malaysia practice a parliamentary democracy, while the United States a presidential democracy. In terms of the difference, the division of power such as Malaysia does not fully practice the separation of power system because the three bodies of executive, legislature and judiciary are interconnected, while the United States fully practice it. Therefore, each country has its own system of administration and government, and through this system, the administration and government of a country will be smooth, even though the government bodies of these two countries practice different systems but have almost the same function and roles.
That's all from us, Group 6. Thanks for watching.